ride.
All right, well, I appreciate it. Joe Stanley with Line Pro Land Surveying here, representing Whitetail Ridge Properties and the White family. Basically, we're seeking planning board approval for two 2-acre lots that are both in this direction. The line of pink flags here in front of us would be the beginning of the first lot, and most of that lot sits, in the upper 2/3 of this cleared area. And then the second lot, there is a line of pink flags over there. It's just hard to see from here with the brush.
I see.
The second lot is proposed to be down in that direction. Basically, we have one of them is right before that utility pole you see there, about 40 feet this way, is the proposed driveway entrance to the first lot. Been approved by Maine Department of Transportation with an entrance permit. And then the second driveway entrance is about 100 feet on the other side of that pole, where we had the second location approved by MDOT. So they've come out and checked site distance, safety. The only kind of stipulation to their permit, and I think I included copies of them in the packets that we submitted, is when time comes to construct the driveways, we have to coordinate with them to deal with things like potential culverts that need to go under the driveways, and they want to have input on the size, depth, things like that, and how it's graded along the road so as not to cause any issue out on the main drag. Otherwise, the only other thing I could think of when I was reviewing the plan, I'm quite certain that I will need to add a 50-foot, I believe it's a 50-foot buffer strip along the road that just leaves gaps to those driveway entrances. That's a no disturb buffer moving forward with the properties. So eventually, this has obviously been cut, but eventually it provides a little bit of privacy and a little less eyesore, if you will, coming down the road. I'm quite sure that's required in any subdivision in this rural zone out here. I know we had to do it. Made me think of it driving by Pat Stevens' place just down the way on the other side. I know we had to do it there, so I'm quite sure we need to add that to the plan here. Otherwise, I think it's fairly straightforward. The only other item that we'll be continuing to discuss at the next meetings and whatnot is there is a remainder piece in the back that's not included with the 4 acres being developed up front that is proposed to be conveyed to the abutting property owner, which is Waterhouse. Now I want to say Waterhouse.
Joe, is that the back line of the lot?
So the line would come up. There's actually by that pole. There's a pit in the ground,
Right.
Which is here on my map, and it comes up. And where you see the wooden stake behind the little stump there,
Yeah.
that would be the back corner. So if
Yeah.
you're standing at the road, the back right corner, and then it turns and takes almost a 90-degree angle down to the left.
What size acres are they?
2 acres and 2 acres.
And what about the proposed back?
Well, there'll
What's that
be,
cover?
what would it be? There'll be about 14 and a half, almost 15 acres that would be conveyed to a butter and wouldn't be a separate legal lot of record in any way. Beyond that, we did have Ken Gardner of JRK Soils over in Leamington perform wetlands mapping. The only wetlands that were observed that would affect these 2 4-acre lots are down in the hemlocks, down in the darker part of the forest, down at the bottom of the hill. There's kind of a channel of runoff that follows the low part of the saddle here, and then there's a little kind of kettle type area up there, plateau that there's some wetlands on too that are shown on the map that
Is that beyond
don't affect the project. Yeah, they're up here, but they are on the remainder parcel.
So it's not where that other pink flag is way out from there?
Nope. That would be,
The second lot?
yeah, I think that
Way
would be
down,
the second.
almost right from me.
Oh, you're a lot taller than I am. That's
No,
right.
see it way
Yeah,
down
that
there?
would be, you'd be somewhere down in here on the back line of the second
Okay.
lot. It goes probably another 150, 200 feet into the darker part of the forest. That second lot, that no construction was proposed down in that area because DOT's entrance permit is way up here by this pole to access the lot. And then, yeah, we also had test pits down on each lot. I don't see the flags for those anymore, but they are shown on our map. We did locate them, and Kenny Gardner did those. So we have the passing soils test pits, which were included in the application packet as well. I think that's most of it. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there any provisions around visibility for where the driveways will enter the road? Like as far, I don't know if there are trees close to where the driveways will be, or so we're not creating like blind entrances.
Yeah, so that's normally a topic we get into a little bit more if we're not on a state aid road. Then part of that is my responsibility with the planning board to prove to you that I have those site distances and whatnot. This being a state aid road, they control all the access in and out of it, and we did get DOT's inspector down here.
Yep.
And, you know, for learning purposes, what they do is they have me put a stake, they put an orange cone where I put the stake for the two driveway entrances, and then he actually goes down the road, starts coming up at the certain speed, and he actually marks it on his GPS when he can first see that cone. And he drives by it, and he's able to take the distance that he can see, and they have certain safety standards, distances.
Is that
but
at the normal speed limit?
yes, that is
Not
the
at
normal
the-
speed limit. So like
So we may need to redo it. Is that what you're saying?
the for instance, the Pat Stevens subdivision, you know, to your line of questions there, the subdivision that's down towards the fairgrounds on the left-hand side, you might have seen the big Kelly sign that was painted if you were coming in this direction. But
Is that the Heath Brook?
when we did that with DOT a couple of years ago, there were two big pine trees we had to take down right beside the road before DOT would sign off on those entrances as being safe and meeting their standards. So yeah, long story short, these few roads in town that are state aid roads, we usually work that out with DOT, and you know, you guys are welcome to make comments, but generally the boards have been satisfied with the state's recommendation on that. But any of the other local roads that aren't state roads, that absolutely I need to supply you guys with site distances and discuss all that.
And even though the state did the site distance, they can also come back here and say, oh, I want a couple more trees cut down. I know they did that with Kelly's property.
Right, there was one tree there that DOT wouldn't sign off on the entrance permit until the tree was taken down, but the owner didn't want to pay to have it taken down. So he sold it, and the new owner couldn't get a permit until the tree was taken care of by the second person. So that tree came down, I don't know, I'm guessing a year after the actual subdivision approval. But again, DOT makes it pretty clear, and they're pretty adamant that when this construction starts for either driveway, we have to get them heavily involved because they don't want to see an undersized culvert, let's say, creating a ponding situation on the side of the road, that sort of thing. So they have to coordinate with us, or we have to coordinate with them to get that taken care of.
I don't remember what the issue was about the timing of conveying the back part of the land. Has that been resolved as far as did it involve the
I'm sure we'll
wetlands, or-
discuss it more at the next meeting as well, but no, there's just, you know, it's a cart before the horse sort of situation where the reviewer's notes mentioned maybe it would be a good idea for us to convey the land in the back to the neighbor now before the approval process happened. And my position was, well, I don't want to write deeds and record those just yet, just in case some changes come about during the review process. So I was hoping to take care of that near the end of the process or make it a condition of the approval in some way. But that's obviously something we need to discuss more at the next meeting as well.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, in terms of the driveway entrance, it seems like the biggest issue would just be the slope coming down to the road. that's gonna, you know, the potential stormwater might, you know, travel down the driveways to Milton Mills Road, but DOT's gonna look at that somewhere.
Absolutely. One of two things will, you know, based on my experiences, I can't speak for them obviously, but either, you know, they'll want to see some sort of little drainage structure probably up on the uphill side of the driveway just to, you know, put all that water where it needs to be in the ditch. Or, you know, what we've seen them do before, if we can get the elevations to work out, if they've asked us to go down with the driveway and then come back up right a little bit right before we hit the pavement. That way any water that does go down a driveway in this situation won't make it to the pavement. It will make it into the ditch instead. But my guess is they're gonna probably require culverts and some pretty significant ditching for my client to do to make this situation work. You know, for sure.
There'll be a lot of cut on the bank.
Right. I think they're gonna have to shave it.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of runoff anyways, naturally from here.
No, it
Not
mostly
my
goes
lifetime.
that way, like the way the swamp would direct it, but once you get the driveway and the house roof and the lawn and everything, you'll get some water traveling down the driveway.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be very important for whatever water that comes off the roof of these places to not make it to the top of the driveway, whether it's sent to the backyard or sent down below it with a gutter or something in that situation. But like he said, Mother Nature does a decent job here, but you get a fresh gravel surface on the outside of that road. There's definitely going to need to be some planning to make sure that's built in an intelligent, functional manner.
It's not wet here now. Had 4 inch of rain already.
Right.
Not that it helps. Being dry already.
Right.
Yeah, no, most of the stuff from the hill up above gets caught up right in these trees up above us here and then heads down the tree line.
But it goes into that little wet area too, like the cattails are.
Probably to some degree. I think that's more going to be the field up above. You know, I don't. You know, who knows? It may have been very different a couple of years ago, but right now it certainly looks pretty turned up, pretty absorbent. We got this passing soils test pit, so the rest of that's going to be on the excavators and.
Right, it did say they were like marginal soils or something. They were permissible, but not the best.
Well, was it? I honestly don't. It was
Yeah.
quite a while ago.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
a ton
remember.
of lead in here 'cause it runs back to that silver mine back there.
Mm.
That's why this road gets stoved up in the winter time. Little ledge.
If you have any interest in all that, I collect little. I got lots of old stock certificates and things from all those mines from over the years at my office. So hang them on the wall and call them a business expense for decorations.
From that one?
There's a series of maybe a dozen of them that go up and down the river there, and I have maybe 6 or 7 of them. I have silver certificates.
Yeah, there's like $1 million worth of silver on the ground, but it's about 7 to 10 million to get it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they were finding it, but it wasn't feasible for them to keep moving on with it.
Supposedly there's no mining machine out there still somewhere.
Yeah, I've never seen it. A lot of it's posted these days. You know, my old boss at my old survey shop said he'd seen one even on the other side of this road over here, and I guess there were some pretty deep holes that still existed out there. You know,
They
drop
were
a
like
white
shafts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop
Yeah.
a white rock down it, and he said you could just see it go, but I haven't seen those. I've seen one of them down in that direction.
There's like a couple dozen of them.
Yeah, yeah. They went all the way down Gauding Road until there was 2 or 3 of them that were even technically in Lebanon at the time. They went all up and down the river. But yeah, like I said, I have lots of information at the office. If that's ever of interest to anyone.
Any other questions for Joe?
I don't.
Do you think we'd be able to get Waterhouses to one of the meetings just to confirm with us that they do plan on purchasing, or?
Absolutely. I'm quite
I-
certain there's already a signed purchase and sale agreement too
Uh-huh.
that we
Mary.
can get you a copy of. Yeah.
I can get in touch with her.
I talked to
what you mean.
Jessica White a week or two ago and asked how that was coming. She said they had a signed purchase and sale.
Do you think she needs to
So-
come in, or I just gotta call her?
I don't know. I mean, it is a unique situation with the back lot, and anything we can do to just
Yep.
reassure that that's actually what's going to happen
Absolutely.
would be in everyone's favor. I mean,
Yep. I would love to get those documents squared away, and I'll put a little bit of pressure on my client to let them know it's it's time.
yeah,
But they told me they thought that deed would happen by the end of this month. The way
Uh-huh.
things were going, that the attorneys had the purchase and sale and everything.
it would be great to know for the public hearing in case we get any questions,
Absolutely. Yep.
just so we're not like, you know.
Did we schedule a public hearing?
I guess the 22nd, which is 2 weeks from today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was 22nd.
Yeah. Which I don't see why
Well-
we wouldn't be ready for it. That's really the only hiccup in this whole project
Yep. Okay.
that I see, unless you.
No, I have a little bit of, this was more of a conceptual version of the plan. I have a few drafting items to take care of to get you a more formal plan as we move forward here. So I will submit that as soon as I can. Just clean it up a little bit, add the lot numbers, any typos, things like that. There's probably planning board signature block, registry block, that sort of thing. But, I will definitely push hard to try to get some documentation for you all to look at in regards to that back piece. And then better, more
They-
background, so.
They could do a purchase and sale agreement with a contingency in it, that the contingency being that the planning board, if the planning board approves, then the sale goes through. That might be a way to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're certainly
Their
willing to
lawyer will
entertain
figure
it, but
that
the entire board has to feel comfortable with that too. So let's see what I can come up with for the next meeting, and hopefully I have enough to satisfy both yourselves and myself.
You want me to get in touch with Mary to have her come in on the public hearing then, Gavin, or? or do you
I don't know. I think it would be nice to get that figured out before the public hearing.
Mhm.
Are you coming in a week?
I definitely can if we want to discuss it, but I don't know as we're going to move much further forward until that public hearing either. So maybe
Yeah.
Well,
we
maybe
meet
we'll
as
have
soon as we
Mary
can
come
after
next
that.
Right. She could come in next week.
She
Or,
doesn't need, you don't need to be there if she comes in, right?
Right. I mean, I certainly don't mind inviting her in. At the same time, if we can get a signed deed or a signed purchase and
Right.
sale agreement, I don't know as we need to trouble her for her evening either, unless there's some other questions that people have. But it's entirely up to you guys. I'll work hard to see if I can get my hands on that document. At a minimum, the purchase and sale agreement, but hopefully a deed saying it's all taken care of. I believe it's Jim Shirley's office in Springville that's working on it, but don't quote me on
We're
that.
gonna have Mary come in then, cause I know Jim and he's slowing down in his old age.
Well, as long as it's signed and notarized, that's what's important to me.
yeah. And have they talked to you about their further plans with the after this
Not
after these proceedings?
honestly, I think a lot of it depends on how this goes. If how does the construction go? How's the ledge situation go? What's the appeal for selling the two houses? If things go well, I think they may, revisit. Would it be worthwhile to put a little road or private way in here to do a few more lots? But I think if it doesn't look good, I think Jake's envisioning trying to buy the thing and put his forever home up back there somewhere where he can have his privacy.
Remaining?
Oh,
14 and a bit.
there's 14 and a bit here, and then whatever Waterhouse has, I don't know that size off the top of my head, looking at this, I would guess another 20 acres or so. Sits back there, it wraps up even around the back of this field and goes well out beyond that row of trees and down over that hill in the back. So
Nice piece of property.
I think, you know, I don't want to speak for those guys. I will try to get them in here to one of the meetings, but that's what I think. If it seems profitable on these two houses, they may consider doing more. But if it doesn't, they want to try to buy the thing outright as a separate parcel and then do their own home back there at some point.
They're just selling the lots, so they're building houses too and then selling a package deal, you know? Not that
I
it matters anyway, I'm
believe
just asking.
they want to try to do at least one spec house and see how that whole process goes. But you know, a lot of those types of discussions that we had were well over a year ago.
Yeah.
So you know, probably would be good at that whatever meeting we have after the public hearing. I may ask them to come in for that one just to answer that sort of question too. But that's my understanding at this point. Excuse me.
Anything else?
Good.
I guess we'll end it.
Excellent. Well, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay.
And, so, would you like me to come in a week from tonight, or do we want to wait and schedule as soon as we can after the public hearing? What's everybody's thoughts on that?
You won't have much information next week, will you?
Right. The only thing you know, if things went really well, I'd have some of that paperwork or that deed that I could possibly stop in and hand you guys. But otherwise, I don't know if there's too much to discuss until that's taken care of. Excuse me.
Or we just bump weeds, have them come in on the public hearing, that way we don't waste the time next
Yeah.
week. We can just bump me right.
I would think that, and if the paperwork
Not waste
is
the time.
prepared, you could just leave copies of it, right, without
Yep.
having to come to the meeting, and then
Sure,
we'd be
put you
aware
on
that
tentatively-
it had
tentatively,
happened.
and, you know, if you can't make it, call Ashley, right, and say you can't, and
Yep.
nothing's changed.
Perfect.
So we could do it that way, that's better.
Works for me. Works for you guys.
So possible Thursday if it changes, we
Yep.
can,
Yeah, and we'll do it this way too. As soon as I get it, I'll try to drop copies off at the office or send an email over a PDF that can be distributed out.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'll try to have hard copies to hand you guys either before or after this coming meeting, or certainly, like Gavin said, it would be nice to have a better answer by the public hearing for sure.
I think that's it. Then,
All right,
Yeah, good.
Okay.
thank you.
Good,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you all
Thanks.
very much. And
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Mother Nature, for giving us a
Right.
break in the
Yeah,
rain.
they
Yeah.
promised that it's gonna rain in the fall, it doesn't rain, so I don't know.
All right, perfect.
All right.
Okay. Done.